నారాయణం నమస్కృత్య నరం చైవ నరోత్తమం దేవీం సరస్వతీం వ్యాసం తతో జయముదీరయేత్. జనమేజయ ఉవాచ ఏవం హృతాయాం భార్యాయాం ప్రాప్య క్లేశమనుత్తమం ప్రతిపద్య తతః కృష్ణాం కిమకుర్వత పాండవాః. So from today onwards we will be discussing in the evening a section called Araneya Parva. Parva is a small section within a big volume. In Mahabharata, a huge epic. Mahabharata is one of the two epics of India. Chronologically, the first epic is Ramayana, which is put at sometime 700 BC or so. And the next epic is Mahabharata. There is a consensus among scholars and Indologists that Mahabharata belongs to a period of around 3500 BC. Give or take 100 years. That was the time, and it came after Mahabharata. They say around 2000 or 2500 years time is there between the two epics. And Ramayana is an epic with 24,000 verses. That is quite big, 6 volumes. And it runs into 24,000 verses. Give or take a few hundred verses, okay? And Mahabharata, originally it was 25,000 verses. Original name was Jaya. Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Just now I said the verse. So its original name is Jayaha. But the later thinkers and writers added many portions to it, so much so it has become a huge epic of 90,000 verses. Where is 25,000? Where is 90,000? And as if that is not enough, one more section called Uttara Harivamshaha. So that was added later. That runs into 20,000 verses. That is also included in Mahabharata. So much so, today with the name Mahabharata, you have 110,000 verses epic. And people only know the name Mahabharata. They don't know the name Jaya. Only some of the Indologists and the scholars of the epic are aware of the name Jaya. Jaya Mudirayet. Tato Jaya Mudirayet. First do prostration unto Narayana and Nara, and then Vyasa and Saraswati. Then you have to talk about Jaya, or you may expound upon this epic called Jaya. How many people know that the epic is originally called Jaya? So the Jaya has become Mahabharatam. So Mahabharata, Parvata, Parvata is mountain. Put that Ta into this. So it became Mahabharata. Suppose you take out Ta, Mahabharam, very big it is, and like a mountain. And so bring that Takara from the Parvata and put here, it becomes Mahabharatam. Anyway, the epic, the word epic has to be correctly understood. It is a work of literature, literary work, epic. And it has 3 important characteristics that define the epic. One is, it must be a historic account. It is not mythological. Purana is mythological or mythological, whatever way you want to say it. Purana is mythological, but not epic. Epic is a historic account. Means it is not history again. It is not history. The story has a historic relevance. The basic story was historic. The characters were historic. But then, second element is, it is a kavyam, it's a poem. Therefore, the poet has a lot of license though the poet takes the story, but he adds his own poetic imagination to the storyline. And therefore it doesn't read like a history anymore. It reads like a poem with a lot of poetic license and lots of descriptions. And hyperbole is an important element of poetry. And therefore you find a lot of hyperbole in that. You see, it is not hype. Hype is not appreciated. Hyperbole is appreciated. Okay? It becomes poetic. So, like simile, metaphor, hyperbole, these are all figures of speech. In Sanskrit, they are called alankara. They are ornaments for the text or the poem. Therefore, the poetic imagination you can see as an important aspect of the epic. So much so, the epic is called kavyam, a poem. That is the second element. The third element of the epic is it's a didactic poem. You see, in the vision of the rishis, any work of art, any work, not necessarily poetry, it could be painting or sculpture or dance or music, any work of art must be didactic. Otherwise, if didactic means it must convey a message to the human society. And in the absence of the didactic element, it becomes an entertainment. Like dance, people, they watch dance as a mode of entertainment. What is entertainment? Entertainment is a way of escape from oneself. You do not like to be with yourself, and so you want a means by which you can escape from yourself. That is called entertainment. Entertainment is a multi-billion-dollar industry in modern societies. And therefore, you should not use art forms for entertainment. That is not recommended, because that doesn't serve any purpose. And there is no message conveyed, and you just watch dance, etc., or listen to the music, etc., just for entertainment. That is a waste of time and a misuse of the art. And so it should not be like that, including poetry. And therefore, the epic is not meant for reading like a novel for entertainment, for time pass. Sometimes they call it killing time, virtually wasting time, killing time. So like people read novels like Harry Potter. What is Harry Potter? What is the didactic element in it? You don't have any message coming from it, I suppose. I did not read it. It is entirely for entertainment, for kids, I suppose. So even for kids, there can be nice storytelling, could be there, but at the end of the story, there must be a nice message conveyed through the medium of the story. Therefore, there must be a nice message to the human society or humankind through the epic. So these three elements put together constitute this great literary work called epic. And Mahabharata is one such epic. Out of the two epics from India, Mahabharata is the second. And Indian society is greatly influenced by these two epics. The effect of epics on the society is such a profound thing in the Indian context. You do not see such a similar situation in the West, where there are other epics like Iliad, Homer, etc. But those epics don't seem to have much impact upon the society or religious life or social life, cultural life, etc. There doesn't seem to be any impact of these epics, Iliad and Homer. Whereas in the case of Ramayana and Mahabharata, the tremendous impact that these epics have on the social life is something amazing. Even today, the Indian social life is guided by, knowingly or unknowingly, people may not be conscious of it, but the social life and every aspect of human life in huge societies like Indian society is guided by these epics. Therefore, for example, all the art forms, sculpture, painting, dance, music, and storytelling, etc., all these art forms, multiple art forms. Within storytelling, there are a variety of art forms, and all these art forms are profoundly influenced by Ramayana and Mahabharata. In fact, you can see that the entire society, the people are named after the characters of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So, if you take the telephone directory, the names, if you watch, the same name, with the same name, there will be 10 pages. Suppose you take Rama Rao. Rama is the name of the main character in the great epic Ramayana, and with Rama Rao there will be 20 pages. Means so many people, they take the name of Rama. Similarly, name of Krishna, etc. Some of the people, interestingly, who don't like the religion, who are opposite to the religion, they are atheists, agnostics, etc. Sometimes, for various reasons, they oppose Hinduism. They take the names of the bad characters in the Mahabharata and Ramayana. For example, somebody is named after Ravana, or Kumbhakarna is his name, or Meghanatha is the name of Indrajit, that is taken by somebody. And villains' names are taken also. And then Shishupala is the villain in Mahabharata, and now we have people named after Shishupala in Kerala and other places. So like that, even the villains' names are also not left out. They are also taken by people. Just I am saying this to emphasize the importance of the epic. And so this epic has 18 volumes, Mahabharata. Out of that, 18. So, Prathama, first volume is called Adi Parvaha. Parva is a volume, like that it is taken. Then it is like the finger is there. It has 3 inflection points, right? These 3, they are called Parva. So you can bend the finger like this here, or you can bend it here, or you can bend it here. The 3 Parvas are there. Similarly, this entire epic can be divided into 18 volumes, and the volumes are interestingly named as a Parva. So the first volume is called Adi Parva. The second volume, based on the content of the story, is called Sabha Parva. And the third volume, again according to the context of the story, is called Aranya Parva or Vana Parva. Vana is the forest. So the entire story happens in the forest. When Pandavas, they leave the city in which they were ruling. Now the city and the entire kingdom was confiscated by Duryodhana, and these people were banished to the forest. That is how the story happens. And so now they spend 12 years of life in the forest. And all that life is described elaborately in one volume. And hence the name Aranya Parva or Vana Parva. The volume, which is called Parva, has a section. Again, within that big volume, there are sections. And the sections are also called Parva. But they are called Avantara Parva. The main Parva and the smaller Parvas, which are so many sections within that main volume, are also called Parvas. And they have their own names. And the Yakṣapraśnāḥ, this particular section, the entire section, has got a name, Araneya Parva. That is the name given to it. It is an Avantara Parva, means within the main, the subsections are called Avantara, the subsection. That is the meaning of Avantara. And so Parva is a section. So subsection, Avantara Parva. And it has its own name, called Araneya Parva. The name is derived from the word Arani. Arani is a tender slab of wood, slab of tender wood. Tender wood means it catches fire easily. That is the idea of tender wood. And so you have a slab of wood and then a spindle which rotates on that slab of wood with a lot of friction and force. Thereby fire comes out of it. And so you create fire out of a slab of wood by spinning or by rotating a spindle on the slab with force. And so the lower slab and the upper spindle together constitute an instrument of creating fire to be used in the ritual. You have to use that fire. You cannot take a matchstick and put it and use. You cannot do that. That is the Vedic way of doing it. I think in those days they were making fire like that. That is how fire was made. So that is adopted into the ritual, Vedic ritual. And hence, they have this fire-making piece of wood, so 2 pieces of wood, and that both together, they are called arani. And so this section, this Avantara Parva, it begins with this tender wood pieces called arani, which are required for performing a ritual. Like fire ritual, a Vaidika wants to perform fire ritual. For that he wants fire. Of course, he has to offer oblations also. Oblations are either a piece of wood becomes an oblation, a twig, or some clarified butter could be an oblation, or cooked rice, a small amount of cooked rice could be oblation. Like that, there are a variety of oblations. Sometimes curds is an oblation, dahi. Milk also can be an oblation. And this popcorn can be an oblation. Some of you must have known it, because in the marriage, there is the popcorn oblation in the fire, called Laja Homaha. Laja is popcorn. So like that, a variety of oblations are there. But then you need fire, which is the altar in which oblations are offered. And the fire itself, you cannot bring it from matchstick and all that. You have to do it the way the original fire was discovered by the ancient human beings, namely by rubbing 2 pieces of wood. So in these 2 pieces, one slab remains static, and the other piece of wood, like a stick of wood, a strong stick of wood, is in the form of a spindle. And they have a thread, a rope also, tied around the spindle, and like that they pull it back and forth, making the spindle rotate very firmly and strongly in the slab of wood, and immediately you can see within seconds or within a minute the smoke starts coming, and then you get a wooden powder with fire in it, and that is put onto some coir and it catches fire. And that is how fire is created. And then put twigs on that and it becomes a slightly bigger fire, and then offer oblations in it. That is the arani instrument. Therefore, for a Vaidika, this instrument to create fire is very important. That is the starting point of the ritual. And this section begins with the story connected with that arani. And hence it is called Araneya Parva. Then it is also called Yakṣapraśnāḥ, the questions asked by Yaksha. Yaksha is, it is tough to translate it. It is not about, suppose you say Devata, then immediately people know many Devatas, like Lakshmi, a woman very well dressed and all that. Saraswati, another woman dressed in a different way, holding an instrument of music in her hand. Like that, people have ideas of Devatas. The name, you name the Devata, they know how that Devata looks like. It is as if they have seen all these Devatas sometime or the other. So, means that is how the Devatas have become popular. But this Yaksha is not a popular demigod. Yaksha is a demigod, or a spirit, not necessarily evil, but also not entirely generous too. kind of midway. So that is the yaksha. So you can say, not a demon, but a spirit. You can say a spirit or a demigod. And you don't have a form in mind. Nobody knows what is the form that it takes, the demigod takes. Is there such a thing in one of the Shakespeare's dramas? A fairy is there in one of those dramas. A fairy comes and fairy, 1 or 2 or 3 comes. Some of you must be knowing it in one of those tragedies, Macbeth maybe. They have a shape, yeah. Maybe they are women also, I don't know. Okay. So something like that, a demigod or a spirit, and that you hear this yaksha only in 2 places mainly. Of course, Kubera is a devata and he is supposed to be a yaksha. That you hear also that, but otherwise, normally you come across this yaksha in Kenopanishad. And there yaksha is not described in terms of its form. Only simply said yaksha, mahad yaksham, a big spirit appeared like that. What is its shape, etc., we don't know. Nothing is described. Similar situation here. And therefore, there is no particular shape described by the poet for that yaksha. But in one place, the yaksha introduces himself, he is a male of course, introduces himself as, I am a big crane. Crane is a water bird, you know. I am a big crane, like that he introduces. That yaksha. He asks questions. And so now this is called poetry of riddles. A very unique kind of poetry. And this kind of poetry where the questions are asked and answers are given. The questions are not definitive. They are called open-ended questions. Generally, suppose you ask a question, what is 3 into 13? So it's not an open-ended question. It is a definitive question with a definitive answer, 39. Like that the child has to answer. No, not that kind of questions. So that is not poetry. That is some physics or mathematics. That is not poetry. Here the questions are open-ended and the answers are given. And that is how the poetry moves forward. And therefore it is called, it can be described as the poetry of riddles. Even Socrates has presented his philosophy in this method. And that's why it is also known in the Western philosophy as Socratic method. That is the name given to it. This comes from Vedic literature. It is not necessarily invented and started in Mahabharata, not like that. It was there in Vedic literature. In Veda mantras there are questions and answers. Like a question, Kasvide kaki charati, that is the question. Who is it that? Who moves always, all alone? That is the question. Sounds like a definitive question, not necessarily open-ended, but most of the questions in Yakṣapraśnāḥ are open-ended questions. So in that Vedic question, the answer is Surya ekaki charati. The sun moves all alone. Then there is another question, Ka usvijjayate punaha. Who is that takes birth again and again? Chandrama jayate punaha. It is the moon who takes birth again and again. Means the moon, moon is extinguished or it expires on the Amavasya day, no moon day. There is no moon, moon is gone. And then moon is born again next day, a little, and then it grows, and like that grows, and then starts declining, and again gone, expires, kind of, and then again born again. Like this, in a month, the moon, every month the moon is born. Lunar month. In every lunar month, the moon is born. And hence, Chandrama jayate punaha. Sometimes the questions do not have much to convey, except that the method of riddles is employed. Like kiggusvidhimasya bheshajam. When it is very cold, how to solve that problem? That is the question. So agniru himasya bheshajam. Put a small fire there with some twigs and all that. That becomes the solution to the problem of cold. Like that. So, like that in Veda, there are question and answers kind of poetry of riddles is there, but it is highly developed when it came to Mahabharata, particularly in the context of Yakṣapraśnāḥ. So, the questions are very open-ended, and they are aimed to probe the student's understanding, how much the student understands. That the student's understanding has to be probed. For that, the question is presented. And also, the questions and answers, they help us to develop critical thinking. Instead of just repeating text that is by hearted, memorized and repeated, memorize and repeated. That doesn't help much. That's why great poets and great thinkers and philosophers are not born from these reciting people. Like a Kabir or Kalidasa or some such great thinkers and philosophers and poets like Tulasidas or Ramatirtha, Vivekananda, such great philosophers, thinkers, etc. You don't get them out of the Vedic reciting people, because they learn the recitation over a period of 8 to 10 years, and they spend the rest of the life maintaining that recitation. And they memorize it, and they should not lose it from the memory. And so you have to go on reciting every day. So they make it a formula, for a day this much I have to recite. Like that, the whole Veda they will be reciting again and again. Thereby, that is how they retain it. Otherwise it is not possible to retain, you will forget it. So whole life is spent in memorizing and reciting. And therefore, no critical thinking is involved in that. And that's why you don't get any great thinkers from that kind of effort. Whereas this poetry of riddles, it helps people to develop the critical thinking skill. Also, in this poetry, there are most unexpected questions. And so the one who answers must be very alert and also very critically thinking person. And then sometimes the question may be routine, but the answer is very dramatic answer. That is also possible. This is how this Yakṣapraśnāḥ section, it is a very beautiful section and a great poetry of riddles. Then, in the entire story and the questions and answers, the emphasis is on dharma. That is how the story moves on. And where there is dharma, there is victory. Yato dharmas tato jayaha. In the society, there is a wrong impression that by following dharma, you will become the loser. That kind of an impression is there. But that is a misguided impression. That is not a correct impression. And it looks like that in a very short-term thinking. But if you look at the long-term aspect of life, then it becomes very clear that the one who follows dharma alone emerges victorious. Yato dharmaha tato jayaha. Also you have one more expression, satyameva jayate. So there are three things, rata, satya and dharma. And all the three must be they must be there as an undercurrent in the narration, in the poetry, in the story, all the three. Rata is the truth at the level of thought. Means your thinking must conform to the truth. That is called rata. Suppose you hold on to a superstition, you have violated the principle of rata. Suppose you believe a wrong thing, like the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the sun goes round the sun, earth. Suppose you believe that. And people write books on that. The entire book is written on the premise that sun goes round the earth. This is a geocentric model. Suppose you are holding on to the geocentric model. That means at the level of thought, there is no truth. That means there is no ruta in life. Therefore, when you think about something, that must conform to the truth. Means your thinking must be truthful. If thinking itself is false, then the whole life goes in the wrong direction. Therefore, there must be truth at the level of thinking, thought, rata. And then satya. Satya is there must be truth in your speech. When you speak, there must be truth in it. Suppose you tell some wrong things to the children. Children are misguided. They are conditioned into a wrong thinking. That means what you speak lacks in satyam. Then third, when you act, there must be truth in it. That is called dharma. So at the level of thought, the truth is called ratam. At the level of speech, the truth is called satyam. And at the level of action, the truth is called dharma. So all the three are present in the narration, in the poetry. That is how the epic Mahabharata moves forward. So this is some small introduction about the Yakṣapraśnāḥ. Now I will start the story. I recommend you get hold of the verses in some form, either a printed paper or you can download into your cell phone and see the verse. When I read the verse, it will be nice if you follow it. That makes you a participant in the narrative. That will be better. That will give you a classroom atmosphere. Otherwise, it becomes a harikatha. You know harikatha? Somebody tells the story and you sit and relax and listen to it. And whatever happens, happens. And the time is, you just spend some nice time, so it becomes entertainment. And that serves no purpose. Therefore, it will be nice if you try to look at the verse as I read it, and then try to connect what I am explaining with the verse before you. That will be nice. That gives you the spirit, a sense of being a student of the great epic. That will be nice. So Janamejaya Uvacha. So the Mahabharata is a dialogue between the king Janamejaya and the Rishi Vaishampayana. These are the names. These are all very old-fashioned names, the names of the epic times, Vedic times. So, and the Janamejaya happens to be the great-grandson of Pandavas. I don't know whether I will be able to tell the names correctly in that lineage. We know Arjuna. Arjuna's son is Abhimanyu, and his son is Uttaraha. And his son is Janamejaya probably. Or somebody else is there in between. I am not very sure. But so he is the great-grandson of Dharmaraja. And so Janamejaya, the great-grandson of the Pandavas, wants to know the story of the Pandavas. And who knows the story? Vaishampayana Rishi. He is a seer Rishi. He knows the story. And so Janamejaya approaches Vaishampayana and asks, Sir, what happened with our great-grandfathers? 5 of them. Like that he asks. And then the Vaishampayana will be replying. That is how the entire Mahabharata moves forward. It's a dialogue between Janamejaya and Vaishampayana. These epics, one hallmark of these epics is they are entirely in indirect speech. Indirect speech. No indirect speech. That's why even in Gita, Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna said, and then the words of Arjuna. He addresses Shri Krishna, Oh Shri Krishna, this is my doubt, please clarify. Like that Arjuna will be telling. And then Shri Krishna will be replying, Oh Arjuna, this is so. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Uvacha said or spake. Shri Bhagavan spake, that's spake is the spake, that is the past. Okay, spoke. There is spake also. Yeah, both are there. Ancient English is like that. But anyway, so spoke. So this is all in direct speech. That is how it goes. And so Janamejaya Uvacha, he says, Evam Hrutayam Bharyayam. This verse I already said. I am saying it one more time. Prapya klesham anuttamam pratipajya tatah krishnam kimakurvata pandavaha. He is referring to an episode that happened earlier for the Pandavas while they were living in the forest. So what happened is Draupadi was kidnapped. They were living in forest, in a hut-like place, in a lonely place. And so a villain by name Saindhava, he came there. And these 5 brothers were away. They have different chores to perform. So somebody has to bring food, somebody has to bring firewood, etc., etc. And so all the 5 were away. Draupadi alone was there. Then Saindhava, it so happened that he came there on a chariot. And then a bright idea comes to his mind. This is the time to kidnap this lady. And so he kidnaps her. Just like in Ramayana, Ravana kidnaps Sita. These kidnappings, they happened at the epic times, really very interesting. So, generally, the story of Mahabharata has many elements that are found in Ramayana. And a very similar narration of the story is observed. Even the poetry is also having similarities. These are all topics of research between the 2 epics. Look at this part of the story. There the heroine is Draupadi, kidnapped in Mahabharata, parallel to Sita in Ramayana, kidnapped by Ravana. And then, so they come back and notice that Draupadi was missing. And then they see marks of the wheels of the chariot and horse, the footsteps of the horse, etc. And then they give a chase. And Arjuna runs and catches him and defeats him in a battle and regains Draupadi. So they were all in very serious distress for a few hours, because in their absence the poor lady was kidnapped. That they considered that was one of the worst calamities that has happened to them. That is how they looked at that episode. But anyway, fortunately, it ended in happiness, that Draupadi was regained and Saindhava was driven away. He ran away. He did not stay there anymore. If he stayed, he would have been killed. And so he left Draupadi behind and he ran away. And so these people regained Draupadi and brought her back. And so she was saved. So this was the story that was described in detail in the earlier chapter. A few a few chapters have been used to describe that story in big detail. There must be a name for that story also. I do not have the name before me. And so, oh, it happened like that? Very amazing. And then what happened? That is the question asked by Janamejaya. Because they are still in the forest only. This was one episode that happened while they were living in the forest. 12 years they lived. And now afterwards what happened? They were all happy. Everything went all right. Like that, Janamejaya was very curious to know what happened next. Vaishampayana uvacha evam hrutayam krishnayam prapya klesham anuttamam vihaya kamyakam raja sahabhratrubhirachyutaha. So Dharmaraja is called Achyutaha. Normally we hear the word Achyutaha and we use it for Lord Vishnu. You must have heard the word Achyuta. Sometimes I wonder whether the word Achyuta has become a proper noun. It is not a proper noun. It is not the name of a gentleman. It is the description of a person's character. What happens is when some calamity happens in our life, it is bound to happen in everybody's life. There are calamities. Life is not a bed of roses, a walk on the bed of roses for anybody all the time. There are problems in life, and sudden calamities happen. So, but when there is a calamity, the question is, do you lose courage? And then do you allow your character to be adulterated? Like earlier you were a very devoted to Ishvara and worshipful and a very nice, loving person. Now a calamity happens. Now suddenly I am such a good person, such a God-fearing person, and I am worshipping God so many years. So look at me, look at my fate. This is how it happens. So why should I worship God anymore? Now from now on, no God. This is how the people's character itself is changed by happenings in life. Means the character which they had earlier was not strong. It was very weak. They were following dharma because it was convenient to follow dharma. Not because they are rooted in dharma. It was convenient to follow the rules, and so they follow the rules. At the first instance of some trouble, they violate the rules. This is how there is no conviction in the character of people. Whereas the opposite of that means, come what may, I will not stray away from the path of righteousness. I will not lose courage. I remain courageous, come what may. Such a person is called Achyutaha. And no surprise, God is called Achyutaha. God is named by different names. So 100 names, 1000 names are given to God. So one of those names is Achyutaha. But in here, it is Dharmaraja who is described as Achyutaha. Because all kinds of calamities have fallen on his head, one after the other, since so many years. He was the emperor, he lost the kingdom. Now he was living like a vagabond in a forest with his wife and brothers, and then somebody kidnaps the wife. So there are so many calamities that happened to him in succession, one after the other. But he never strayed from the path of dharma. That's why he is called Achyutaha. And the kind of calamity they faced in that forest, the forest has a name. The mountains have names. The forest, that particular forest also has a name. And so the name is Kamyaka forest. It is called Kamyaka Vanam. The forest named as Kamyaka, whatever that means. So they thought this Kamyaka forest was okay. We lived in this forest for a while. In a small hamlet inside the forest they were living. But somehow this place was not favorable to us. We had to face this kind of a calamity while living here. Let us migrate to another forest. Like people relocate, They live in Pennsylvania, and for 10 years or 15 years they do job there, and then they suddenly some bug enters into the mind, and they decide to relocate to California. And the people from California, like Elon Musk, has relocated to Texas. So like that, they migrate, people. Some reason they have. So it did not work for us. More taxes, therefore let us migrate. So similarly, this forest was not favorable to us. We had to face this kind of a difficulty here. Let us go to some other forest. That is what all brothers decided. And so they left that forest and went to some other forest. Another forest somewhere else. They relocated. Punardvaitavanam ramyamajagama yudhishthiraha swadumula phalam ramyam vichitra bahupadapam. Now they have come to another forest called Dvaitavanam. So what is it, this Dvaita? Means it must be something like many elephant herds were there. An elephant, it drinks in two ways. Dvipaha, dvipa. It drinks with the trunk, it drinks water with the trunk, and it can eat with the mouth also. First it takes with the trunk and then puts in the mouth. So like that, in two ways it drinks water, in two ways it eats food. Whereas we all eat food only one way, that is the mouth. We don't use nose for eating food and other things. Whereas the elephant does that. Therefore, the word dvi somehow is connected with elephant. And now the forest is called Dvaita. What could be the reason for it? So it occurs to me, it has to be checked also, that many elephant heads were there in that forest. And hence it is called Dvaita. Dvaitavanam. They came there. It is a very beautiful forest. And the poet finds a context to explain, to describe the beauty of the forest. And they found that the fruits and the roots which they use as a staple food living in the forest, the fruits and the roots are very tasty. Swadu moola phalam. And there are many kinds of trees in this forest. All variety of trees are there. Many, many trees are there. So a very beautiful forest. So they have relocated to this forest. Anubhukta phalaharaha sarva eva mitashanaha nyavasan pandavas tatra krishnaya saha bharyaya. These 5 brothers, Pandavaha. So the sons of Pandu Maharaja, Dharmaraja, etc. And their wife, they have one wife common to all the 5 brothers, as you know very well. Her name is Draupadi. Draupadi is not the real name. This is daughter of Drupada. That is Draupadi. That is the name. That is how she is called. But she is called Krishna. There are 3 Krishnas in Mahabharata. One is Lord Krishna, and the second is Draupadi, and the third is Vyasa. They are called Krishna because they were all from North India. They are supposed to be fair and fair. Okay? They are supposed to be fair. But having born and brought up in North India, they have a blackish hue. Brown hue, not black, brown hue. That's why they are particularly taken out from the masses and given the name brown guys. So she is a brown lady, Shri Krishna is a brown person, and Vyasa is also a brown Maharshi. These are the 3 guys. That's why there is a beauty in that brown color also. Even Kalidasa talks of a similar color to his heroine of Meghadutam. You know, there is a poem by Kalidasa called Meghaduta. There is a hero in there, Yakshaha, there is a Yaksha there. And that Yaksha and his wife, his beloved, is the heroine. Her name we don't know. But he is described by Kalidasa as a Shyama. Tanvi Shyama means she has a brown hue. So there is a beauty in that also. So that is how Draupadi is called Krishna. Okay, they were living in this Dvaitavanam. And how are they living there? So they have plenty of fruits and other roots are there. You can cook the roots and that becomes a staple food. So like that they do, but they lose the quality of that warrior class. Therefore they are mitashanaha, eating moderately. And what is it that they eat? Anubhukta phalaharaha. Though they are living in the forest, they are following all the nitya karmas, and they eat only after performing the daily rites, nitya karma. And then only they eat, anu, afterwards. Means you wake up and start eating immediately, not like that. First wake up, take bath, do a small puja or whatever, or invite the rising sun, offer arghyam. Now, so you have done your morning prayers. Then you go and eat something. That is called anubhukta. That was how they were, even while living in the forest. And their staple food is fruits and other things that are readily available in the forest. So they lived happily there. Vasandvaita, you have to bear with me, some story is storytelling, okay? And then we enter into Yakṣapraśnāḥ soon. Are you okay with the story? It will take some time though. Vasandvaitavane Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Bhemasenarjunaschaiva Madri Putrau Japandavo. So they were living. At least all the five you are reminded of all the five. One is Dharmaraja, and the other is Bhemasenaha, third is Arjunaha, fourth is Nakula and Sahadeva. Pandu Maharaja has two wives. The three are the sons of Kunti, first wife, and the two are the sons of the second wife called Madri. Brahmanarthe parakrantaha dharmatmano yatavrataha kleshamarchanta vipulam sukhodarkam parantapaha. These are great kshatriyas, means belonging to the warrior class, and they fight against the odds of life. They fight against the enemies. Sometimes the enemy means the odd, the difficult situation that you face in life. They fight it out. And they don't lose courage, etc. They face the vicissitudes of life. That is called parantapaha. They never violate dharma, and they live the life of austerity. Yatavrataha. It is difficult to translate these verses. I am doing my best, not always easy. And so, once what happened is, there was a Vaidika, Brahmana, who performs his fire rituals on a daily basis. He has to. And he was in some trouble. Then he has requested their help. And so, they have taken that Brahmana's troubles as their own troubles, and they have jumped into the fray and they tried to help that Brahmana. In the process, they found themselves in a lot of trouble. But fortunately, it all ended in happiness to all. It is a comedy, not a tragedy. So Sukhodarka, it ended in happiness. So such a thing happened. What is that? Tasmin prativasantaste yat prapuh kuru sattamaha vanaklesham sukhodarkam tatpravakshyami te shrunu. So it is the same thing. So while they were living in that forest, they have faced a serious problem. Fortunately, that ended in happiness. I will explain to you. Please listen to me. Arani sahitam mantham brahmanasya tapasvinaha mrugasya gharshamanasya vishane samasajjata. Now the story is beginning. So there was a Brahmana, a Vaidika, who performs his daily fire rituals, and he is very devoted to his rituals morning and evening. So what happened is, he has this arani, a tender wood piece, tender wood arani. And any wood won't work. You need that dry tender wood only. And a spindle also you need. And suddenly what happened is, he kept them in his hut or outside his hut, wherever. And then one deer came. The deer, it got some itch in its face, and so it was rubbing the face to that arani thing, and that spindle and that block. And it got entangled. These two got entangled in its horns. The horns are multiple branches and all that. And it was confused and it ran away. Now the Brahmana, he lost his arani. And so he cannot create fire. And without it, his fire ritual is in serious trouble. Tadādāyakato rājams tvaramāno mahamrugaha. It's a big deer. Deers also, some of them are small, some of them are very big also. And so it ran away, that big animal. It ran away and along with it, this arani is also gone. And it went with terrific speed. Ashramantaritaha. Ashramantaritaha means it has gone a long way from the small hut in which he was living in the forest. It has gone a long way. Hiriyamanantatam društva saviprah kuru sattama tvarito bhyagamat tatra agnihotra paripsaya. He noticed that the animal is running away and his arani is also gone, entangled in its horns. He saw it from a distance, and then he was panicking because he cannot create fire now, and then his fire ritual is in serious trouble. He cannot do that fire ritual. So he ran after that animal to fetch that piece of wood, but he could not do it. Ajata shatrumasinam bhratrubhis sahitam vane agamya brahmanastornam santaptaschedam abravit. So in the forest, all these rishis, they live in a group, in a hamlet they live. And Dharmaraja, these brothers also make a hut there and they live there. And so he came running to the Dharmaraja, and his 4 brothers are there. Draupadi is also there. He came running and he presented his trouble, the trouble which he is facing before them. He is saying, Murugasya gharshamanasya vishane samasajjata arani sahitam mantham samasaktam vanaspatau. He is telling this arani, this wooden block, and also this spindle, I have put to a tree. I have hanged it or fixed it to a tree. And this deer, while it was rubbing to the tree, it fell into its horns and it ran away. Ayo, now I don't have it. So what can I do? Now please arrange to fetch it for me. That is how he is requesting these 5 brothers. Tamadaya gato rajam stvaramano mahamrugaha ashramat varita shighram plavamano mahajavaha. He is explaining. This deer, I tried to run behind it, but I could not. It was running with a terrific speed. O Maharaja, Dharmaraja, I could not catch it. And so now please do something about it. What he should do? Tasya gatva padam rajan asadya cha mahamrugam agnihotran alupyeta tadanayata pandavaha. You are 5 of brothers, and all great warriors, and they have bow, arrow, all these instruments, so sword, etc. they have, and they are archers also. Please, I don't even see the deer where it is, and so please find out where it is, and try to get hold of my arani, so that I will not be without this ritual, which is a daily ritual. It must be performed on a daily basis. So that will not be put to difficulty. So please get it. Brahmanasya vachishtrutva santaptotha yudhishthirah dhanurādāya kaunteya prādravad bhratrubhis saha. The moment Dharmaraja heard this story, he was very disturbed that ayyoyo papam, this Brahmana will not be able to perform his ritual and he is requesting my help and I have to do that. This thing you see in these epics. The thing is the Kshatriya, the person of the ruling class, it is his duty to help the public. It is his duty. He cannot say no. If some member of the public comes to him with a problem, now he has to solve that problem for him. Whether it is Rama or Dharmaraja, that was the rule, that was dharma. And so he cannot say, what can I do? He cannot say that. So he ran with his bow and arrows, Dharmaraja. When Dharmaraja himself is running, what will the other 4 brothers will do? They were running after him. And so all the 5 people were running, trying to find out the direction in which that deer ran away, etc. Sannadhadhan vinasarve pradravan narapungavaha. They are great warriors. They were always ready with the bow and arrows. Not now we need it, therefore let us see where we have put, let us search for them. Not like that. They were all ready, handy. And say they took the bow and arrows. Brahmanarthe yatantaste shighramanvagaman mrugam. They are putting all their effort, not for their own sake, for the sake of helping this poor Brahmana. And so they ran behind in the direction in which the deer ran away. Karninali kanaracha nutsrujanto maharathaha navidhyan pandavas tatra pashyanto murugamantikad. Anyway, they have all kinds of arrows with them. 3 kinds of arrows are described. It's an epic. All kinds of descriptions will be there. The arrows one kind of arrows have a sharp edge, sharp end, like a bullet. That is one kind of arrow. Another kind of arrow is like a crescent moon. And a third kind of arrow, it has hooks, etc. The arrow looks like the eye lobe. So the karni, earlobe. It resembles the earlobe. That is the arrow. This kind of arrows they have, multiple arrows. And so they have to find they are not planning to kill the animal. Even if they see it, they are not planning to kill it. Their job is only to release an arrow and somehow disentangle this arani from its horns. That is what they were trying to do. So, tesham prayatamanānān nādrishyata mahamrugaha. They were trying their level best. They could see it. After some trouble, they could see it. But then again it disappeared. They got a hint of it, saw it from the distance and about to release arrow, this and that, but suddenly it disappeared. And then they tried a whole morning, hour after hour, for many hours, they were trying to find any hint of that animal, but they could not find it. Apashyanto mrugam shanta dukkham prapta manasvinaha. They kept quiet. What else they can do? They sat at one place. They could not fulfill the desire of that Brahmana. But anyway, now the chance of finding that animal is not there. They left the effort. Shetalachayam agamya nyagrodham gahane vane kshutpipasa paritanga pandavas samupavishan. Then they were tired and you see, in the forest, the sun is very hot. In the forest also it will be very hot. Just because it is forest, don't think that it is cool and all that. In the summer, if you enter into the forest, you will know how hot it will be. And so they were very tired, and then they found one tree. It is banyan tree. Nyagrotha, a banyan tree. And underneath it, they found a good shade where it was a bit cool. Now the effort is wasted. They cannot find that animal anymore. So they took rest there. They were sitting there. And they were very tired and they were all hungry and thirsty. They just sat there. Tesham samupavishtanam nakulo dukkhitastada abravid bhrataram shreshtham amarshat kurunandanam. Now Draupadi was left behind in the forest. They have ran a few kilometers deep into the forest. Now they have to retrace their steps. But they are very tired, very thirsty, very hungry. What a fate of us. Where are we? How are we? Like that. So Nakula, one of the brothers, he addresses Dharmaraja and he was very distressed, Nakula, and he is telling, Nasmin kule jatumamajya dharmaha. He is complaining. In our family, there was never an occasion that we violated dharma. Na chalasya darthalopo babhuvaha. Also, in our family of 5 brothers, we never knew what is laziness. If a person is lazy, his family has to suffer consequences. But in our family of 5 brothers, we never had any laziness that could create problems for us. So there is dharma, there is hard work. But look at us, what happened. Anuttama sarva bhuteshu bhuyaha sampraptasmas samshayam kinnu rajan. O Maharaja, look at Dharmaraja, look at people and other life forms, animals, etc. They are all living happily. They never performed this much dharma as we have done. They have never worked as hard as we have worked. But they are all living happily. Whereas look at our fate. And now our life is in danger. And we are in serious doubt, samshayam, whether we can go back to our home or that hut. And we will be all right. No food, no water. What is this fate? We are in a serious jeopardy. Samshayam. Life is jeopardized. So what is this? It is Sri Mahabharata Aranyake Parvani, Araneya Parvani, Mruganveshane, Ekadashadhikatrishatatamodhyaya. This is Mahabharata, Vanaparva. Within that Araneya Parva, in that running after the animal, the deer, that is the story in this particular chapter, and this is the 311th chapter. Concluded. Okay? That is the story. Yudhishthiro vacha, na padamasti maryada na nimittan na karanam dharmastu vibhajatyartham ubhayoh punya papayoh. Look at Dharmaraja. He says, when there is a difficult situation in life, you should not conclude that the difficulty will remain within certain limit. It will not cross the limit. You should not think like that. Sometimes the difficulty, it crosses the limits that you can endure. Also, all the time you want to know what is the cause of this trouble in life. You don't find the cause also. You cannot pinpoint, this is the cause because of which I am in trouble. You cannot pinpoint. It is somebody got...
Can you hear? It is coming? Can you hear the noise? No, I don't hear that static noise.